you where my leave at. She took the river with Judas. Tearing down the barrel of his gun. Yes, he shot me down. I died and someone brought me back to life, but never to my senses. Bounce on that shit, can you? Bounce on that shit, can you?
All right, for the people that be coming in, welcome to my channel. All right, so we are going to discuss, if you come in and watch the replay, hit that like button. This is Matthew Knowles having an interview with Carlos King, and it's called I Almost Lost It All. He goes into detail of everything from what happened to Put It On a Love Song music video to a lot. So we are going to play it. Hold on, let me read my disclaimer. Let me read my disclaimer before we do this. Under Section 107 on the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is prohibited by the copyright statute that might, be otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, and personal use tips balance in favor of fair use. So let's go into Carlos King podcast. We're gonna watch it from here. Turn the volume up. Let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'll be stopping in between. Hold on, let me stop sharing real quick. Hold on, because for some reason I don't hear anything. Give me a minute. Okay, let me make sure ain't nothing connected. All right, let's try this again. So that's just the intro. So let me go ahead and share my screen again and let's get into it.
Good.
Well, you're looking great.
Okay.
Where did you come from?
Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was just in Atlanta.
Oh, you are?
Literally.
Making some deals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Any
come in,
share
man.
with me?
Not yet.
Look at the art. Oh my, Mr. Knowles, the artwork.
Now, I have to tell you about this house. We bought this house 4 years ago. It was built in the 90s by a black man. A black man was the same man, architect and builder. In our whole neighborhood, 65 houses, he built 2. And we're grateful and fortunate to be in one. And it has that spirit.
It does. No, I feel it.
It's that spirit that a black man did.
This is good. Got the sunroof. I mean, Mr. Knowles.
Well, I love showing this to everybody.
Oh, okay. Wait.
This is why I bought the house.
Okay, wait, let me see.
This is why I bought the house, right there.
I'm talking about MTV Cribs.
All right, we on MTV Cribs. All right.
What you got? Oh, Lordy. No. Yo.
I've never seen that before.
I've never seen that before.
So when we first looked at the house, Gina, who's your biggest fan, by the way.
Aw, can't wait to meet her.
Gina was down here with the realtor. You know, we were looking down here.
Yeah.
Then he was like, let's go upstairs.
Gina is his new wife.
So I just stayed right here. They got upstairs and he said, I don't think your husband liked this house. She was like, no, he's trying to figure out how he's going to buy this.
Because that is the
Because it was way over our price range.
Look at that. Oh, God. You can't beat that. That's good.
Come in, man.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me in your home. You have no idea. Your home is beautiful.
Thank you.
You and Miss Gina did a splendid job.
Well, we've been here 4 years now.
Okay.
And it was a hot mess when we moved in.
Okay.
But we're there now. We're there. We're happy. Gina trusts me to design this. The person that built this house was a black man.
I love that.
You know.
I love that.
So we're at home.
Yeah. Well, listen, I give all the props to your wife, Gina, because she's the reason why I'm sitting here.
She is. She is.
Because up until today, you have no idea who I was. And when my team reached out to you to request the interview, I was told by my producer, you said, but first of all, who is this Carlos King you talk about? And then when you told your wife, she said, oh, I love him and you need to do it.
Absolutely. Because I was like, Carlo, who is that? She was like, you have to know who that is. So I was like, okay. Because I trust her.
Yeah.
I trust her.
Yeah. Well, no, this is going to be good. So listen, I want to start by saying this, and I mean this with every fiber in my being, with every sentiment in my soul, okay? This interview means the world to me because unbeknownst to you, I have followed your career since I was 15 years old.
What?
15. I'm 45. I'm 45 years old. Okay? You are someone.
I have been following her career too, since she was 15 years old. I remember all the girls at 15, and I've just been following since. And I'm still going to be following all that career. I mean, they're amazing.
That I have looked up to for 30 years and counting. And the reason why I wanted you to know that is because you have no idea the impact.
Hold on, y'all. Dang it. Hold on. I'm sorry, y'all.
Impact that you have made on my life, being a black man
And Amber Plus listen to this as well.
in an industry that at 15 years old, I knew I wanted to be a part of. I do reality television and podcasting and digital, but I didn't know at 15 I was going to do that. But for me, Mr. Knowles, I saw a black man who took charge of a white male dominated industry. And you did it unapologetically. You did it with such a masterful strategy. And I don't think you get the props you deserve. So I want you to know this, okay? I'm here to give you your flowers. I'm here to give you your respect. And I also want to be able to use my platform to educate my peers and the younger generation on the establishment that you have created and curated for people like me to be able to take your blueprint. And it doesn't mean you have to be in the music industry. It's for every person in the world who came from a community where they were invisible and dominated. And this interview, this conversation rather, is an opportunity for me to let the world know how much you not only mean to me, but what you mean to our industry.
Well, first of all, thank you. Those are some very, very surprising. You never know who's watching, who's looking, what influence you have. Mm-hmm. So to hear you say that, I say with gratitude, thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you. So listen, I want to get into your background because Take us back a little bit, Mr. Knowles, when it comes to the fact.
I ain't gonna lie, he's a great businessman. He really is. He really is. And you can't knock that he's not a great businessman. Business wise, yes, he is.
That you were born at a time of the pre-civil rights movement in Alabama, and
Yeah.
I just kind of want to know, like, your story in terms of what that was like for you and how you were able to become who you are today.
So I was born in 1952. So that do the math. Little small town, Gaston, Alabama. I understand you know Huntsville. I understand you know Huntsville.
Thank you, Oprah. Yes.
But born in Gaston, and my mother lived in a smaller town, grew up in Marion, Alabama, and went to high school actually with Coretta King and Andrew Young's wife. So imagine these three ladies going to high school together in Marion, Alabama. Just like Coretta, my mother took up the torch of desegregation. And when she moved to Gaston and married my dad, I never went to a black school. Now imagine that. So 52 elementary, I would have been 6 years later in 58. Integrated elementary, integrated Litchfield Junior High, Gaston High, University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. And so growing up in Gaston was a lot of challenges. I've been spit on, I've been electric prodded, ran by the state troopers running after us after doing boycotts, all of that. That's how I grew up. I have a lot of trauma when I think about Gaston, Alabama, and had to go to therapy for years for that trauma.
Wow. Did you have to go to therapy starting when as an adult, or did you have to go through that through your childhood?
As an adult.
As an adult. And the trauma that you experienced, did that show up a lot in your adulthood?
I would say not a lot, but at some point I unraveled, had too much going on, and it showed up very, very strongly then.
And did therapy teach you how to sort of deal with that? Like, what was that process like for you?
Yeah, therapy did, because there's triggers.
Right.
There's things that trigger in trauma. And so I had to learn how to understand those triggers. I had to learn how to workaholism is a thing. Just like alcoholism, the isms. So, all of it is about escaping from society, right? Just escaping from the moment. We use work, drugs, alcohol, whatever it could be. And so I had to understand that. I had to understand the value of my worth and not let that little kid, Matthew, control sometimes my behavior.
What's fascinating is you grew up, with this horrific sort of experience by being spat on and all the other stuff, but you were able to sort of, as a man, enter a career, working at Xerox, where you were, a top executive there. How did that experience in your childhood manifest to where you were still able to dominate an industry that at this point wasn't even in the music industry, but you were able to sort of be this executive at this company and do amazing sales during that time?
I want to come back to that because I listened very well. You said a word horrific in my childhood. My childhood, as tough as it was, I had these amazing parents. My mom and dad were amazing black people. My mom made $3 a day as a colored maid. She convinced that white woman to give her all her hand-me-downs. And on the weekends, my mom and her two best girls.
If you read Miss Tina book, she talks about how her mom was a seamstress. They didn't have much. And then, he's talking about how his mom was a maid and she made $3 a day. And to see where their daughters are now is amazing because he and Miss Tina went to be successful, and that was amazing. But to see how far their daughters went is just, to me, is Black excellence, because of the fact is, when you have grandparents that come from, you hear the stories that they didn't have much and things weren't there, and then you see the family go up to do things, go to college, have degrees and great jobs, and now you seeing what, their children doing other things is just amazing.
Friends, and I know this because as they got older, I had to thread the needle for them. They would make these beautiful quilts, Carlos, these beautiful quilts. My dad made $30 a week as a truck driver. And he would convince those white folks that own the produce company to keep that truck 24/7. And he would tear down old houses, sell the copper, aluminum, all the wood, the metals. He would go, because in Alabama, as you know, they sometimes abandon their cars in the front yard if it didn't stop. He would go buy a car for $25 and sell every part on it. So my parents, as well as my grandparents, were entrepreneurs, and I love that. They always gave me hope. They always told me I could do anything I wanted to in life. So I just wanted to go back for a minute, rewind, and then now I'll answer your question about corporate America. You're getting a sense of me now, right?
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm here for all of it. So before we even get into that, you come from a family of entrepreneurs, so was that instilled in you as a kid?
Absolutely. That Sir Davis whiskey, that's my grandfather.
That's your grandfather?
My grandfather, Dave Hogue, Marion, Alabama, 200 acres of land. Let me tell you what my genius granddad did. He would parcel off like 50 acres to the paper mill in this little town. And they would come cut off the trees, clear the bush, and they would lease the land from him. And then he would go behind them and farm. They would pay him to clear off the land. Genius. Genius. And at the same time, there was a little creek that ran through his property that he became a moonshine distributor. I remember I was about 12 years old, and there was a knock on the door one Saturday, these three white men, and they knocked on the door and asked my grandmother, "Is Mr. Hogue here?" So it was the first time I ever heard a white man call a black man Mr.
Darion is Beyonce's grandmother. Sir Davis is her great grandfather. If you look at some of the things that she has made, it is paying homage to her great grandparents and her grandparents for the start off to the success that they have now, which I do not blame. Uncle Johnny, he made her prom dress, and I see she still fits it, which is amazing. Her mother knows how to sew and made majority of Destiny Child's clothes. Her father managed, so you can see a lot of that in what she does.
I mean, I'm so proud of my grandfather. He spent a lot of time with me. And on my dad's side, my grandmother, they lived next door to the biggest club in that part of Alabama. And after 1 o'clock, she would make these fish and chicken sandwiches and bootleg. So, I had entrepreneurship spirit on both sides of the family.
That's amazing. So, well, I want to stay on Sir Davis for a bit. So, when that whiskey came about, was there a conversation that was had about honoring your grandfather in that way?
There was a conversation. I still think, and hopefully, Beyonce and I can go to Marion, Alabama. I haven't been there in a long time, just to experience that childhood that I had and understand better her grandfather and grandmother.
When you got to corporate America, was that a industry that you wanted to get into? How did that come about?
Because as a kid, I always wanted to be a businessman.
Yeah.
You know how when you're a kid and they'll be like, "Hey boy, what you gonna be when you grow up?" A businessman. So I had mentors. Reverend B.L. Walker, he was a minister. He was my godfather, a mentor. I had my parents as mentors. And I always wanted to be a businessman. Didn't quite, as a kid, knew exactly. I just know when Reverend Walker would go down to the store, he had a suit on. I was like, Reverend Walker, why you wear a suit just to go to the store? And he would tell me it was about perception. Me and Gina call it optics. It was about optics. And I just knew that's the life I wanted to live, that type of life.
How did Xerox come about? Was it something you applied for, or, you know, dominating that world?
What year was that? It was 1986. December 6, 86. Actually, it was December 6, 76. Yeah, because I just graduated from Fisk. And I had never been to Houston. And me and some of my frat brothers, Omega Psi Phi, had been there the month before for the football game with Texas Southern. And I decided this is where I want to live. So without a job, I was working with the Bell system in Houston, and then you couldn't transfer. So without a job, I came to Houston. And I worked with Pitney Bowes for a couple of months. And me and some of my friends, and we were just, you know, it used to be happy hour Friday night was a big deal in corporate America. And so maybe about 10 guys, we were at a bar just hanging out, a happy hour. And this little short white boy comes up to me and says, can I speak with you for a second? And I'm like, what? I've been listening to you guys. I've been sitting here listening for about an hour, and I love hearing your leadership. You're exactly what we want at Xerox. And I was like, yeah, right, okay, yeah. And then he showed me his card. He said, human resources. He said, can you meet me, this is a Friday, can you meet me at 8 o'clock at my office? I was like, of course, that's how I got my job. You never know who's looking, never know who's listening.
And let's go back to the optics thing, because you just being yourself and somebody overheard you speaking and then offer you, would you consider that to be the job of a lifetime at that time in 1976?
You could get no better than IBM and Xerox.
I ain't gonna lie to you, that man was at Xerox for years. He didn't quit Xerox till it wasn't 20 years yet. I say like 14, 15, because he always said that he did Xerox. And then when he found out that that's what Beyonce wanted to do, and he found out what was going on with Girls Time, he quit Xerox, and then he took full management over to Destiny Child. Well, what Destiny Child was at the time was Girls Time, before they picked up the name Destiny Child, before they got signed to Columbia Records.
There was no better. And Xerox was ranked by Forbes repeatedly as the best corporation for blacks in America to live, to work. Let me repeat that. Xerox was ranked by Forbes repeatedly to be the best place for blacks in corporate America to work.
And what was your job exactly? Because it was doing sales, correct?
Sales and marketing. That branch was the #1 branch in the country. So I had to be a trainee longer than usual. So I trained in another division, the engineering division, selling a microfiche reader printer. Did very well as a trainee. Then I got a territory selling copiers. Was the top sales quarterly. And then one evening I'm at the office late and I hear a ticker tape machine. Imagine that takes you back, right? And it's just going off in the office, and I go and I read, and it says grade 11. And I'm like, grade 11? Like I'm on grade 6. And I saw the salary, and then I looked at it. I couldn't pronounce the word. It was zero radiography, sales position. I went in the next day and I asked the branch manager, could I interview for the role? And he kind of laughed like, you know, you just got here. This is like the top echelon of sales at Xerox. There's no way you're gonna get this job, but I think it'd be a good exercise for you, Knowles. So, but what he didn't know is the public library was 2 blocks over, and I went to the library every day I could and study up on breast cancer, because that's what it was. Zero radiography in the 80s was the leading modality for breast cancer detection. So I did my thing that I always do, research, research, research. So when I interviewed, everybody had been there longer than me. I was the only black that interviewed, but they talked about, well, I've been here 15 years, and I went in talking about breast cancer. And that impressed the sales manager that I was the only one that took the time to understand the modality. That's how I got the job.
And what was the yearly salary at that time for you?
I think the salary was around 85, but forget that, it was the commission.
Because you had to like go and sell this device.
Yeah, I covered 4 states. I covered Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, 5, Louisiana, and a third of Texas.
So she's making money.
Yeah, we did good.
You did good.
We did good. We did good.
So going back to that time, so here you are, you're a black man from Alabama, you are dominating in Texas at this time, and during this whole thing, you obviously meet a woman named Celestine Beyonce. Can you talk to me about how y'all met and where you were at in your life at the time?
I was still at Xerox Medical, and my roommate graduated from law school, and I threw him a party, and she came with another fraternity brother. I thought they were on a date, but it turned out as the evening went on, they weren't, and that's where I met her.
And you approached her and just said, I am Mr. Knowles.
I approached her like she was holding my vinyl with her finger, prints like this, and I was, excuse me, like, please hold my vinyl like this. Like I really had a strong vinyl collection. Like I don't want no damn fingerprints all on my vinyl. Like that's how it started. Yep.
Mr. Knowles.
You asked the question.
Oh, and I love the answer. So she's holding your vinyl wrong, and your way of breaking the ice is correcting the way it's being held.
I wasn't even trying to break the ice.
You gotta make sure your vinyl.
I wasn't trying to break ice. I just wanted my vinyl. I mean, I was really into my vinyl collection.
So what was her response to that?
Kind of looked at me crazy, like, what? Yeah, that's how it started.
So what was it like in that early days of dating? Like, did you know at that time when you first met Miss Tina that this is my wife?
Oh, wow.
I was trying to see how long can I make her laugh. You should have seen the look in his face.
Now, Matthew, you know they finna come for you, right? Regardless of you being that lady daddy. Now, why did you start? Why?
Everybody held their damn breath on the set.
I'm happy people get to know your comedic side. Because, you know, people think you're so serious.
Oh, boy, that's my wife.
But I
I
love the fact that you actually are a jokester. You're a jokester.
I am a jokester.
I love it.
Nobody knows that.
Oh, they know now. If they didn't know before, Mr. Knowles, they know now.
Every night, me and Gina, we crack. I have her cracking up, man. Just cracking up. But I'll tell you one thing that was really funny. I didn't see Tina, because I have to pause, because Gina.
I can't with him. But no, she even said in her book that she didn't see herself marrying him either. Like, she was just like, I don't, but I'm glad she did. But she was like, I don't know. Like, Exactly what she said.
Never put that together. Till
So
now.
I have to
I see what you're
just
saying. Yeah.
make sure I say Tina,
Yes.
and not Gina.
Correct.
You're asking me about Tina.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
We got that right.
Okay.
So I didn't see her really for almost 7 or 8 months. I covered downtown selling copiers then. I was. And she worked downtown, and there was Macy's where kind of the black folks at lunchtime would congregate, and there was a little coffee shop. There was a couple of places. I saw her at the coffee shop, and I just kind of looked in and kept walking. I saw her at Macy's. I walked the opposite way because I'm like, okay, she stood me up, right? Because I had asked to take her to lunch the following week when I had met her with the vinyl. Mm-hmm. And I had written her name on the shoebox, B-OZ-say, S-A-Y. B ounce say.
Why?
Say that fast. Beyonce.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she told me she worked at MasterCard, and got all dressed up. Next Monday lunchtime, at the receptionist asking for this lady, last name Beyonce. And there's no one that works there. So I use my business card to then say that I'm a service representative. And while I'm here, I like to check your copiers. And so she let me go back to where the copiers were. And then I asked, well, is that Tina Beyonce? Is that Tina Beyonce? They're like, no. And so I walked away disappointed. Almost 4 months passed. And we're downtown, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She's on one side of the street, and I'm on the other side, and we're looking at each other. We have to cross paths. And then in the middle, I was like, oh, yeah, that was that person who stood me up. She was like, get out of the street, let me tell you. I was waiting on you. I said, no, you weren't waiting on me. I was at MasterCard. She said, fool, I told you Visa. Yeah.
The fact that we get to talk about this, I just love it so much. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got the wrong merchant.
Yeah, I got the wrong one.
Okay.
I got excited.
Okay. So then the coffee shop thing happened. So you guys were able to communicate, hang out. Obviously, you guys get married. When you look back on your life at the time, Mr. Knowles, was marriage something that you just thought like, I'm successful, I have a great job, I met this great woman, is this the next step for me in my life?
So at 15, you were thinking this? When you follow me, this is what you were thinking? You were thinking about my marriage and if I was happy and shit? Like, come on, man. Come on, man.
Mr. Knowles, I said 15 today and counting in my defense.
15, like, yeah.
Because you know, there's levels to this. There's levels to this. And like I said to you earlier, this is your life, Mr. Knowles.
Well, I appreciate you for having this conversation with me.
Good.
I really do, really do.
Thank you.
So what was the question? I forgot.
That was okay. So when you got married, did you think at the time like that was just the right thing to do, just based on like what we're taught during that era in our lives that, okay, graduate
So you know
from
what my
college?
brain just did? When you said, when you got married, I just immediately went to Gina. So you want to stay on this conversation?
No. We could move on. No. We can move on from it for
I think
sure.
that would probably be a good thing.
Yeah. No,
Colin.
we'll move on from that.
Okay.
So the thing for me though that I really wanted to get into is you have this successful life for yourself, this successful career for yourself. What made you though feel like, I see my child be this person at the talent show who's doing great, but I have this great job that is taking care of me and my family. What was it in your mind that said to yourself, maybe this is the risk that I should take, because that to me, in my opinion, Mr. Knowles, doesn't get talked about enough. Because I know what it's like to leave one career and tap into another and have success in it, but it's scary. And it takes a lot of prayer, a lot of faith, a lot of belief. What was it at that time that you felt the need to have that leap of faith?
Well, I think, often, and you'll probably be the first to get the interview right. Most articles say I left Xerox and went on with Beyonce's career. I left Xerox in 1988.
Okay.
The then president of Xerox Medical Systems went to another diagnostic imaging company, Philips. It was Picker International, which became Philips. And I became the first Black in America to sell MRI and CT scanners in 1988. And that's really important that we get that right. That's a big damn deal. That you're selling a $4 million piece of equipment that it takes another $2 million to install in 1988. And you've got to explain technology because it's first generation. Stayed there 5-6 years. And then I went to Johnson & Johnson in one of their divisions called Codman as a neurosurgical specialist. I don't want that to get erased because that was, those 8 years was before Beyonce. So when I started working with Beyonce, I had 20 years of corporate America experience in sales and marketing, being the #1 sales rep in the world. So I had this, I want people to know what I brought to the music industry. And so here's this 6-7 year old that's passionate about music. She's quiet. She always listening to music because music wasn't around our house all the time. And she finally is in elementary school and decides she wants to compete in a music contest. And we say yes, and it's middle school kids. So we're saying she's gonna lose, but let's make sure she doesn't, fall hard, that we hold her while she fall. But she didn't. And she got there and sitting there for the event and said, "Hey, Mom, Dad, I'm getting bored. When am I going to go up and sing so I can get my trophy and my $100? And we were like, "How do you know you're going to win?" And I was like, they're older. You might not win this first time. She said, "Oh, no, I'm going to win." And when she got on that stage, one of her albums is named Sasha Fierce. This is why, this story I'm telling you, because when she stepped on that stage, at 8-9 years old, she became Sasha Fierce. Something happened once she got on that stage. And that's when I knew and my former wife knew that something special was here, that she really was passionate. And then the role of a parent, my belief is not to say, I want you to be this when you grow up. I teach a lot of those. I teach a lot of students who parents told them they wanted to be this, a doctor, attorney, but that wasn't what they wanted to do. So we were never that way. I was never that way. But we supported her then. You surround your child with the tools. So she got in dance troupe, excelled in that, got her vocal lessons, was really passionate about that. Then one day, just out of nowhere, we owned a major hair salon in Houston. These ladies came and said, that was when these young groups were coming, Usher, ABC, all those little young kids were doing it, that they wanted to form a young girl group, and they wanted Beyonce to be the lead of it, the lead singer of it. And that's how it all came about.
And was this something that, because I want to get this part of the story right. There were two managers at the time, from my understanding. You're being one of them, and I believe Miss Ann Tillman. Is that correct?
Not at this time.
Not at this. So that was later. So when the sort of development of the group happened, was that solely your vision?
It was another step, and that step was they were young. I call them girls. The girls, they were called Girls Time, actually.
Yes.
Girls Time. We producer from Sausalito, California, Arnie Frager, He had this amazing top recording studio, record plant, Prince, Diana Ross, you name it. That's where everybody would go. And he signed Girls Time to a production deal. Again, they were like 10, 11 years old, and he got them on Star Search. And as a dad, I went because they thought they were going to win for a month, and they got an extra hotel room just for the wardrobe. And my job was just to help with the wardrobe. But then they go and compete against a 40-year-old rock band and lose. And I had shared with the managers that I thought it was the wrong song because it had rap in it. I was like, these 50-year-old white men that are judging, they've never heard rap. I've researched and watched previous shows. I don't think this is a good idea. I think you should do this beautiful ballad. And Beyonce wasn't even leading the song. It wasn't about that. It was about winning. I said, I think you should do this beautiful ballad. No, we know what we're doing. And they lost. And I asked Ed McMahon, what do a dad do? These kids are crying. I don't know. What do I do? Because all I used to do was drop Beyonce off, go play basketball, pick her up. And he said, for some reason, the folks that consistently win on Star Search go nowhere. It's the one that lose. And you know the names he started saying? Boyz II Men, Alanis Morissette, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake. I can go on and on and on. These people lost on Star Search. And he said, for some reason, it's a defining moment. They go back and they change. They change the organization, they change members. He said, Boyz II Men, they changed the member. That's not the same group that was here. And they rededicate. And that's when I decided, why don't I transition? It's been 20 years, that was my goal. Why don't I transition to the music industry? I went back to school because I believe knowledge is power, and I went to every seminar that I could and began to build relationships. And by the way, my first artist that I got signed, MCA Records was the #1 urban record label. Everybody from Mary J. Blige to Puffy to you name it was there. A rapper in Houston, Lil O, is the first artist I ever got signed, not Destiny's Child.
Oh, see?
Y'all got it all wrong.
Yeah, well, we are here to get it right.
Well, we just thought because of your daughter. Godly.
Yeah.
I know that's right.
There's this group called UGK. That's the first tour I ever did with Lil O and UGK. We went to all the clubs. It was a fight every night. And I had my UGK's Pimp C's mother, Ma West, was the manager for UGK, and I had the briefcase that had a bag of weed, a bottle of Crown Royal, and a 45, and the money. That was my job, to carry that briefcase, and I had a damn suit on. Everybody looking at me like I'm crazy. And then after about 10 of those, I was like, I can't do this no more. So y'all got it all wrong. The whole how I got in it, y'all got it all wrong. And you finally got it right.
Well, that's why I'm here, because I do my research like you do. So I'm glad we cleared that up. When you made a decision to focus on the music industry and do your research, did you officially quit your full-time job at the time, or were you still balancing both?
No, I officially quit my full-time job. I transitioned. I didn't quit. I always say you don't quit, you transition. So I transitioned out slowly as I'm going to school, but we had $1 million business I was also co-running, Headliner's Hair Salon.
Yes. Do you remember how much money you had in your bank account to make such a risk? Like, was like no fear of like, I got the mortgage payments, I got the property taxes, I got these kids in private school. You know, you have this, you lived in a nice big house. You live in a suburban area. You live in a gated community. So the sacrifice that you made for a dream, Mr. Knowles, that at that time obviously wasn't happening, but you saw something, because I do believe that God gives every one of us a vision that no one else can see, and that's fine, but only you can see it. But was there a moment where you looked at your account and say, all right, brother, you got maybe 2 years to get this right, or are we gonna have to like make some other plans?
Well, you said 2 traits in my book, The DNA of Achievers, 10 traits of highly successful professional. You just said 2 of them, risk-taking and being a visionary. And I hope I was both of those traits. I had a vision for the girls, and I was willing to take a risk to the point that almost lost our house. Came very, very close to getting foreclosed because I was constantly spending money. I was sending packages out, going to all these meetings around the country, putting the girls in the studio. You know, I had to finance all of that. You know, so, you know, that was a risk I was willing to take. But also, it wasn't just the girls. I had another artist, again, who I had then gotten signed to a record label. So it was not, I never left corporate America, be clear, just to do Beyonce. I left corporate America to start a music company, Music World Entertainment, which ended up being management as well as record label. That was always the goal. I'm not gonna be doing a one-off. You obviously don't know me if you think I'm just gonna do a one-off kind of thing. And I hope we talk about Music World in this conversation.
Oh, absolutely, because I do want to get into the fact of the company and how much you sold it for, you still part of it and all those things. So that's definitely something I want to highlight too in this conversation, because to me, what I want to, of course, highlight is the intentions behind these risks, because I do feel like nowadays everybody wants a success, but a lot of people don't want to take the sacrifices that it takes to get there. And I think that you are the prime example of somebody who did it right. And there's so many gems and lessons in your story that I want to talk about, because I know that
He's not lying, because people don't want to do the work. And then you got this AI stuff coming in because people feel like they can be lazy or this and that. So he's not lying at all.
a lot of people be inspired by that. So one of the things I do want to get into is the fact that you have this vision, right? And obviously it works. And we're going to get into all of the accolades that you have amassed for yourself. But the one thing I've always wanted to ask you, because to me, this is so specific, right? In terms of how you were able to have this vision for this group. What made you say, I'm going to put you girls in high heels and jog and do this sprint exercise? Because did you know at the time that I see longevity and I see you young women being these superstars that will become the biggest girl group of all time?
That's a number of questions, and I'm going to answer them. Again, I'm a research guy. I love to research. And I believe how you practice is how you play, because I'm an athlete. I was a high school basketball star, played college basketball. How you practice is how you play. So I wanted to make sure that when Destiny's Child practiced, they didn't know the lights might go off, the sound might drop, even down to the point that a heel might break. So I wanted them to practice because this is how they were going to have to play. And when they were jogging and singing, that was for conditioning. And all of those things become important. And so our artist development has become, worldwide acclaim. A lot of artists have gone through our artist development camp, all the way down to media, how you answer conversations. Mm-hmm. So we were that thorough in our approach to the industry.
Do you feel like when you enter the music industry, were you prepared for a lot of the racism that exists?
I'm thinking now, let's do a deal and we make this a documentary, and I can give you like 10 more names and we interview it. No bullshit. Like, this is feeling real documentary, and I'm good with that. But me and you gonna have to own it.
Yeah. a documentary on you.
We're doing it now.
Yeah, no, yeah. This is the precursor to it.
All right.
Yes, yeah.
What was the question I forgot?
That
I
was
got
okay.
excited.
No. When you enter the music industry, because again, I don't want to make this about me, but I need you to know that I was not prepared for the racism that me in television had to experience, Mr. Knowles, until I got into it.
Right.
And then I felt all these microaggressions. And what I want to talk about with you is the fact that, listen, I want to fast forward to the highlight reel, if I may, because we're going to do a documentary. So I want to fast forward to the highlight reel, if I may, Mr. Knowles. It bothers me that you don't get the props that you deserve, like your white counterparts do. It bothers me that you never graced the cover of Variety magazine. Mm-hmm. The Hollywood Reporter, Rolling Stone. And no disrespect to these people, but we've seen Clive Davis, Scooter Braun. We saw Clive Davis because obviously he had Whitney Houston and all these amazing artists under his tutelage. We saw Scooter Braun because, listen, he had Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande. We see Kris Jenner and what she did with the Kardashians. What has always bothered me is the fact that you literally have done the work to create the biggest selling girl group of all time, the last girl group to have a #1 hit on Billboard Hot 100 with the song Bootylicious. Your daughter Beyonce was just awarded the greatest pop star of the 21st century. With all of that success, I feel like you do not get, you do not get the props you deserve. And it bothers me.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. And I say this with a lot of gratitude. It's not only what you just said. I mean, most people don't realize, if you look at Billboard, they have every decade they put out a special edition. So if you look at the Billboard in 2010 for the Artist of the Decade, 2000 to 2009, Beyonce in 2009 of the decade was the #1 female artist. Mm-hmm. See, people think this success of Beyonce just happened. So I want to clear this up.
Okay.
Beyonce was the #1 artist of the decade in 2009. At the same time, Destiny's Child was the #1 female group of the decade. Why is this important? Billboard is
Beyonce, and then they'd be fathoming me when they'd be like, oh, Beyonce, Kelly Rowland, Latavia Robinson, LaToya Luckett, Michelle Williams was the biggest girl group. They had an album with no skips. Baby, it was like a sequel with the writings on the wall. When I said women was flocking and men was jamming to it, slowing it down, they were the biggest group ever. A lot of people think Beyonce is about, no baby, Beyonce been a force since 98. Their second album. The first album, it did great, but it didn't do what they expected. But that writings on the wall, Destiny Fulfilled, all of that was phenomenal.
probably the only way that you get accurate information. This ain't hype, this ain't social media, these are real sales numbers. So I look at that as extreme credibility. In that same edition, Destiny's Child was number 8 overall, Beyonce was number 7 overall, and Jay-Z, who I didn't even know, was number 9 of the decade from 2000 to 2009. What people don't know is, along with the help of BET Sunday Best, when I came up with this idea of Destiny's Child, each having their own solo projects, because of Michelle, I started Music World Gospel. And we partner with BET Sunday Best. Most people don't know that. Leandra Johnson, #1 artist, female artist gospel. We built at little small Music World, the #1 gospel label in the world.
With Trinity 357.
With Trinity 57, Juanita Bynum, Brian Courtney Wilson. I can go on and on and on. And at the same time, I sell Music World to a company in London, Sanctuary, and we partner to form a record label. I'm the president of a whole division of 75 employees. Who's on that label? Earth, Wind and Fire, last album with Maurice. OJ's, we did 2 albums. De La Soul, Sunshine Anderson. I could go on and on.
I'm talking in Mike. Still to this day, Sunshine Anderson is still under him, I believe.
On the record label side. Then I bought 5 young men in their late 20s, early 30s, and made each one of them millionaires. And they deserved it because they had some of the top black artists in the world. We'll start with Mary J. Blige. I bought Kendu Isaacs. He wasn't her husband at the time. He was her producer and manager. There's a young man out in LA, Troy Carter, and his business partner, his dad is top basketball player. How could I forget his name?
Dr. J.
Dr. J, Julius Erving.
Yes, yes, he works with Nelly.
No, you're close.
No?
They work with Floetry, Eve, and then towards the end of the career, Lady Gaga.
Yes.
And I remember many hours talking to Troy as he was going on his first tour, and he didn't understand touring and explaining it to him. And then there was a young man out of St. Louis that managed Nelly. Mm-hmm. And then Demet Guidry out of Atlanta managed Mary Mary and was my GM. There was a reason why Nelly and Kelly did a song together. There's a reason why Lady Gaga and Beyonce did Telephone together. But people don't know this. People don't know how it works. People really don't know, and they shouldn't, because this music industry is very complex.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that was just a strategy in terms of how you saw things. So the fact that people don't know that, is that your way of explaining why they don't give you the covers? Do you think it's because they don't know that? Or to be candid, do you think because at the end of the day, you were a black man who taught himself the music industry, and you came into an industry, Mr. Knowles, and disrupted it in a way that you felt like, I am going to do this to protect not only my legacy, but any artist that I have on my label?
I think it was more because of disruption I did. I truly do, and I can't forget ever to leave Solange out of that whole equation, because I managed and she was on the record label. Mm-hmm. But it was because of the disruption. I think in the early beginnings, I played that role of being behind the scenes, but I think historically now people, and to be clear, the names you just named, those magazines and the industry as a whole, it's disruption. And you started it out, if I was a white Matthew Knowles, everyone would know that. Everyone would know that. What we've accomplished and what I've accomplished in the music industry would be noted.
Does it bother you?
Yeah, it does, because it's his story, not history. And it's time that we don't allow his story. And it's a time young people that get on social media and chatter, at least get facts. Chatter after you get factual data, and then whatever your perspective is, I can live with that. But don't be an idiot and chatter and you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Tell them.
I agree with that. And it's honestly the main reason why I wanted to sit down with you is because I need this young generation to understand that who they enjoy now has a direct correlation with what you built.
Because it's not microwave success.
Mm-mm.
And that's what our young generation has to understand. If you look at all those before and after in any area, I'm not just talking music, I'm talking sports, I'm talking corporate. These people put in the work. They put in the work. And Outliers is one of my favorite books by Gladwell, Brother Gladwell, up in Canada, brother. And he talks about, and he researched for years, to be great requires doing it 10,000 hours. And when you look at Serena and Michael Jordan and Beyonce, and a lot of other people, they put in 10,000 hours. Even in interviewing, that's why I'm grateful to do well as a motivational public speaker, because I've done it 10,000 hours. That's why I can sit in this interview and have fun and be comfortable, because I've done it 10,000 hours. I put in the work. And so that's what I hope young people get out of this interview, whatever their passion is. Passion and work ethics go together. You just can't have a passion. You can't have this $1 million idea, but then you put in minimum wage type of work. That don't go together. $1 million idea, but minimum wage equivalent work. You have to work to become great at something.
Do you miss it? Do you miss the music industry?
I miss the corporate. I actually miss corporate America. And I've thought many, many times, if I had to do it again and it was done a different way and I knew that Beyonce and Solange were good, I would have never got into the music industry, because I was earmarked and being tracked. I would have become a president of a Fortune 500 company. I'm sure of that. And I made a lot of money in music, but I would have made a lot more in corporate America.
You think so?
Well, just do the math. I mean, when you are at that level, you're making, 10, 15 million a year, and then when you retire, it's a whole different thing. Absolutely, no question.
I'm surprised by that. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm surprised by it. Because, and I do mean this, and I hope you feel the sincerity. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have Beyonce, Solange, Destiny's Child. We wouldn't. That's my opinion. I do believe this. I do believe this.
I get that.
There's tons of people who say Kim Kardashian and the Kardashians would be nothing without Kris Jenner, and I understand what that means based on this mama bear having to orchestrate people she know. I think you were the only one, and I want this generation to know that despite what they may feel or whatever, and again, I'm making trouble for saying this.
I have to agree. We wouldn't have them. They worked very hard to get where they are. And we wouldn't have them if it wasn't for him. We wouldn't. The things that he put in motion for them, we wouldn't. If Farrah would have stayed, man, Farrah psyched herself out.
And my apologies in advance. I strongly believe we wouldn't be enjoying the music or even knowing who they are if it wasn't for you. And that's why, for me, a father's sacrifice to see his kids' dreams come true should never, ever be relegated to just like, oh, well, he was just there doing what a father does. And I don't believe in that. I look at you and Joe Jackson, and in my humble opinion, I think you and Joe Jackson are the most disrespected black men to ever exist in the music industry. And I strongly believe that because you two had to be a father and a manager, and what that presented itself to this industry, which is why I feel sad that Joe Jackson's legacy, in my opinion, and you don't have to agree with this, obviously, you know what you want to do, it hurts my soul that Joe Jackson's legacy to me is the fact that people see him as, oh, but you whipped your kids. You whipped your kids. Not really seeing the sacrifice this black man made 20 years, 30 years before your time. And when I look at you and I see you made the same sacrifices, and people just say, oh, whatever, you know, he did this, he did that. And it's like, do you not understand what that means? Do you not understand what it means to dominate an industry that isn't welcoming to someone who looks like you? You are a tall, handsome, dark-skinned black man. And you came in, and my favorite story is how you came into the record label and you switched the lights back and forth.
Yeah, so keep the lights on.
And you said, I keep the lights on. This, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Stop playing with me. Your approach may not have been the Virgin Mary, right? Your approach to getting things done may not have been the most Pollyanna way of doing it. But let the record show it's because you also weren't welcomed into their world either.
Well, two things come to mind. There's a part of me certainly agrees with the father part. I think, in all respect to Mr. Jackson, he came with a more musical background than I did. Mm-hmm. So his approach was coming from a musical standpoint. They were a band that's different than a group, just the whole ethos of it all. I brought, and go back to corporate, a lot of our success is my corporate macro approach. Mm-hmm. I'm so proud of this young man. There's a number of people that I've had the opportunity to in some way mentor. So the president of Sony Music Publishing, John Platt, I have so much respect for this young man who used to fly down from Denver and talk to me, and we would just talk, and I saw this young, I could see in some people that they are a star. You're a star. I just met you. You're a star. I didn't know what to expect. But John just told me last week, he said, I never will forget, you gave me this message on leadership, and you invited me to go Beyonce's first performance at MTV, and you were there and you were checking everything out, and they brought in the audience, and you got on the phone and you were like talking to a publicist. You were going off like, what is this? This ain't no damn BET. Why all these black people in the front row? I need some damn white people in the front row. This is damn Beyonce's first time on MTV. What the hell is going on? And then he said, I looked at you and I was like, and then I said, okay, I fixed that. We got to go. He was like, you're not going to stay? I said, I can't build being here watching all the things Beyonce are doing. I got to go make shit happen. I was never that manager that had to, I was all macro. Mm-hmm. I wasn't micro. So my point is, my approach was corporate. Mm-hmm. My approach was, I knew the budget of Columbia Records marketing budget was, let's say, $1 million. I needed to go to L'Oreal and get Destiny Child, Kelly, Solange, Beyonce, they all did things with L'Oreal, get their music in a commercial or get them in a commercial, and as well as their music. L'Oreal has a $25 million marketing budget. So why would I accept $1 million when I could go out and bring in these strategic partners who had $25 million budget? That's what's the secret sauce, along with the talent and the passion of the ladies, along with having great songs, along with, and I'm having this next week, I'm planning right now, I have my first master class at Prairie View. The strategy for Destiny's Child, if you think about imaging in 1997, it was TLC, hat to the back, baggy boots, SWV, same thing, Escape, same thing, and bam, here comes Glamour and Glitz by this little young group. Nobody's understood Bills, 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 Say My Name, Bootylicious, Girls, 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 independent women, female empowerment. Everything was about female empowerment. And that's what branding is. What differentiates you in understanding brand development. That's what we did at the industry. They were selling records. I was building brands. Different approach.
No, that's empowering. It's empowering because when you look at that era, it was all about that. And it's funny, Mr. Knowles, I was reading this article recently about the makings of Independent Woman and how Columbia Records, her part two, then they hired this production. And obviously the beauty of you is you understood immediately the power of publishing and what that meant. And really, you know, making sure that those girls understood publishing and writing your own music. And one of my favorite stories from LaToya Luckett is when she talked about, you know, they had a day off and they were teenage girls and they were playing, and she told this to Tank. And she said, she's like, where's Beyonce? And they're like, oh, Beyonce's in the car. And she goes to the car and your daughter is she says, hot outside, she's in her car and she's writing music. And she sacrificed playing to write music. And that to me, I always thought about in terms of like, I just feel like your DNA is so much into that. So my question to you is, do you feel like you have sacrificed your life to make other people's dreams come true?
Absolutely. I think a lot of us have sacrificed as Black men and women. Again, now you know my background growing up and those experiences that I had growing up. I've seen a lot of people sacrifice. I've seen my parents sacrifice. I see my daughters sacrifice for their kids now. So I think as leaders, the key word is leadership. If you're gonna be a leader, that's part of it. Part of being a leader is letting that water just fall off of you. Part of being a leader is being ethical. Leadership is a strong thing, and every team needs a coach. So I absolutely, that leadership role, I accepted that. I accept it now.
What do you feel like is the one thing that the public got it wrong about you?
How much I love Gina Avery Knowles. No, I'm serious. Like, I think the one thing people don't know is I'm a cancer survivor. And 6 years now. I went through cancer and COVID at the same time. And actually, that's when we bought this house, actually. And Gina and I are now married 12 years, so that was halfway in. In the first half, it's like any new marriage, there's some ups and downs, some tough sides. But COVID and cancer, our lives have been so amazing, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful that I have this wonderful woman that encourages me, and we laugh and smile, and it's 100% authentic. There's no bullshit. That's what most people don't know, is how happy I am. That's what they don't know.
And do you feel like your wife, Gina, provides you with this peace and happiness that you're now able to, at this time in your life, you're still working and you're still, motivational speaking, you're in London, teaching, and you're doing all these things, but is it nice that you have Gina, that you get to sit back and look at this view and have someone to enjoy all this with?
Absolutely. I mean, it means the world to me. I would be quite lonely without it. We travel and around each other probably 97%. I think sometimes she want me, I think she like, give me a little space, bro. Give me a little space. But no, I'm extremely happy today.
You are.
And I hope that shows, because it's authentic and it's real.
Yes, no, I mean, listen, it is authentic. And even, when you talk about your cancer diagnosis, a lot of people don't know this. You were diagnosed with breast cancer.
Male breast cancer.
Male breast cancer. And I don't think people even understand that that's a real thing. Like, did you know that prior to your diagnosis? I mean, obviously you sold, equipment that dealt with cancerous situations, but were you aware that male breast cancer was even a thing?
Well, I sold specifically mammography equipment. And so yeah, the answer is yes. We did training in the 80s. When we were the #1 modality, we did training on male breast cancer. 22,000 men a year worldwide are diagnosed with male breast cancer. But the more important thing is through that experience, and I got a genetic test. There's something called BRCA2 mutated. Half of the world, almost, experts say are mutated. That's why we have so much disease. But people are walking around with mutations with their genes from their parents and grandparents. Mine is called BRCA2, and for men, that means a higher risk for prostate cancer. My grandfather died of prostate. 3 of my dad's brothers died of prostate. His only living brother, 93, had prostate cancer, overcame it. Breast cancer is, I've done research. My grandmother on my mother's side, sister died of breast cancer. My mother's only sister died of breast cancer. 2 of her 3 daughters died of breast cancer. So I've learned about early detection for both prostate. 1 in 8 men in their lifetime will be diagnosed with prostate cancer. Let me say that again, 1 in 8, 75% greater risk for black men. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. Higher risk for black women. So it's important for me at this point in my life to share those things, and that gives me a lot of joy to be on the forefront messaging how important it is for early detection as well. And that brings peace and joy to me as well. Some days I just look out the window. Some days I just look out the window. That's where my creativity comes from. It's just being still. I've lost about 40 pounds over the last 5 or 6 years. I exercise, walk 2 miles, 3 or 4 times a day. I changed my diet and what I eat.
All right, let me fast forward a little.
A mistake.
But now when you hear it, you just,
Yeah, it's extremely emotional.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna bullshit you, man. I'm what you see is what you get. You ask a question, I'm gonna tell
tangible to look at and say, like, this is who my at least listen, we got the song, and I'm glad that everyone is saying.
And hard work and gratitude, it makes it worthwhile.
All right, you guys can go watch the rest of that. I do have an update with Romika, and I'm finna end this live and come straight back. That was a great interview he did. I give my flowers to Matthew. I give my flowers to her mother as well. They did a great job. And I feel like we're now going to be giving our flowers, whether you like him or not, Beyonce and Jay-Z for Blue Ivy. I don't know who's going to take the crown, but they're going to be holding that crown, baby, soon enough. I will see you guys in the next live. I'll be right back. Later.
It's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenally.
Birds singing in the dead of night. Take these